Bitcoiners, pre-coiners, new coiners, no coiners, Swan Force members, welcome to Swan Lounge, a weekly show in which you get to hang out with the Swan Team and some of our friends from the incredibly exciting world of Bitcoin. Now, before we dive in, some housekeeping as usual. We are giving away Jan Pritzker's book, Inventing Bitcoin, for free in an effort to spread Bitcoin knowledge. If you've been watching this show and you haven't gotten the free book yet, come on, go to swanbitcoin.com/free book. We've got it in 3 different ebook formats as well as audiobook read by our friend Guy Swan over at Bitcoin Audible. We also have the book available en español y puede descargar su copia en www.swanbitcoin.com/libro gratis. I did it right that time. Even more exciting, we are also giving away Gigi's incredible book, 21 Lessons. If you haven't read it yet, it is a must read. Go to swanbitcoin.com/21 lessons to get your copy. And we have another book to give away. So many books, I know, but at Swan, education is our marketing, and Bitcoin education is not one size fits all. So maybe this book is right for you. Maybe that book is right for you. Maybe your grandma doesn't like this book, but this one she'll get. So hopefully you've already read some of his work, but if not, go to swanbitcoin.com/whybitcoin and get yourself a free copy of the essay series by Tomer Strolight. You may remember him from our last show when he was a surprise guest, and we're going to have him on next week, I think, a really cosmic episode with Tomer and Gigi and Brandon, but we're still working on that one. Now, I've got to ask, are you signed up for Swan Force yet? Because if you're not, you know what I'm going to say. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Folks, I'm just very disappointed. It's Swan Force, all right? It's our referral program. It's fantastic. You sign up at swanbitcoin.com/enlist. You get this beautiful landing page with your avatar and a welcome message. So when you send it to your friends and family, they know who's referring them. When they sign up, they will get $10 of Bitcoin for free, and you will get 25% of Swan's fees on their purchases for 3 years. My mother just texted me and said that my dog is chewing on something in the background. Yes, he is. Don't worry, Mom. It's all right. I'd also like to welcome anyone who is new to Swan Bitcoin. What is Swan Bitcoin, you might be asking? Quite simply, Swan Bitcoin is the best way to accumulate Bitcoin with automatic recurring buys, instant buys, and wires up to $10 million. We have the lowest fees in the industry for our services, up to 80% lower than Coinbase and up to 50% lower than Cash App. And we have incredibly fast onboarding. Go from 0 to Bitcoin in as little as 5 minutes. And you know what? Now that I have confirmation that my mom is watching this episode, Mom, it only takes 5 minutes to sign up for Swan, okay? Go to swanbitcoin.com/BVBTC. That's my referral link. You should use my link, Ma. And sign up, all right? It's been too long, okay? You told me that you signed up. Did you? I hope so. All right, now before I bring in our guests, one last thing, please hit that like button and hit subscribe. Doing so helps us get seen on YouTube and helps us grow the show so we can reach more people and help them see why Bitcoin is so special. Now, today, we have got an all-star lineup, some folks that I'm very excited to be chatting with. We have got CJ Wilson, a Bitcoiner, a former MLB pitcher for the Angels, turned high-end auto dealer, and he's also the host of the Throttle Dogs podcast. Will CJ be giving away a new Lambo on today's show? No, he will not. But I'm hoping we can chat a bit about high-end sports cars because I have FOMO. I don't have a fast car anymore, and I need to live vicariously through him while I focus on stacking more sats. We've also got Bobo Dredd, a veteran of the show. Dredd is a Bitcoiner from Jamaica who I'm proud to call my friend. He is one of the many plebs involved in PlebNet, and he's working on a new show called One Love Bitcoin that I am so excited for. We're going to hear a little bit about what he's up to there and what's in store for that show. And, of course, you know her, you love her, the queen of Bitcoin herself, Stacy Herbert. She, along with her husband, Max Kaiser, have been advocates for Bitcoin since the beginning, and their Orange Pill podcast is one of my favorites. They have a big event coming up in Austin as well, so we'll talk about that too. And from the Swan team, we've got Camila Campton, and we don't have Brady. Brady is too busy for us today, but maybe he'll hop in a little bit later. All right, folks. All right, give me a second to breathe. All right, give me a second to unmute our guests because I always forget to do that. And are we ready for Swan Lounge? Yes. Swan Lounge in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. How you doing today?
Hey. It's good to be here. I have Mini Max just in case you want to have his opinion on anything.
Do you do like a little Mini Max voice also like he does with the chicken or
Fuck Elon! Fuck Elon! We're not selling.
That was good. That was perfect.
Sound right?
Wait, let's balance
your
Let's balance this out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Right in the middle. I can look there and there and there and there. All right, everybody. Welcome to the show. We've got some veterans. We've got some new folks. We've got Camila, as you know. We've got Stacy to my right, my left. I can't tell when I'm on one of these things. CJ, like I said, and Dredd. I'm just excited to hang with y'all today. It's the Friday before July 4th. If you're an American and celebrating that, we're going to talk a little bit about that a little later in the show. But why don't we? I've introduced everybody. Why don't our guests introduce themselves in case I missed something? CJ, who are you, man? What are you doing on this show? What are you doing in Bitcoin? What's your Bitcoin story, real quick? Oh no, you're muted. Oh no, if you can't unmute yourself, we're gonna have to make up your Bitcoin story. Nope. Click the little settings button on right in front of you, and then maybe change your audio input.
Right. In the meantime, I'll have Plucky and Max have a conversation. Hey, Plucky, what's going on? Hey, I just hung out with Janet Yellen, and she said she sent her wig. Oh, I think I heard him.
Wait. No. CJ, do you know sign language at all? Stack more sats? Okay, I'll do that. No worries. All right, Dredd, how are you doing, man? Let's go real quick.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, everybody knows that I'm just a Jamaican pleb, but like you said, a lot of exciting things happening. So I'm really happy to be here. PlebNet, One Love Bitcoin, Swan, of course. All these things are just happening. So I'm just happy to talk about them and keep being a pleb. That's never going to change.
Pleb strong together. I love it. All right, you know what? Well, CJ is going to refresh, and he's hopefully going to join us with some sound. Let's, all right, 1 second. Fingers crossed. Give us a mic check. Oh, no.
Oh, that's a nice shirt.
CJ, without audio, it might be difficult, but if you want to just stick around and do it like that, provide reactions, I think people might enjoy that too. So, hey,
well, there's definitely a button to press somewhere.
Can you hear me now?
Have you tried?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
All right, there we go.
You just needed to stand up and do all this. That's the magic trick right there.
I needed to get mad and shake the computer like the scene in Airplane where get a hold of yourself. Yeah, exactly. I'm good now. I stack sats. Hi, I'm CJ. That's it. I'm a Swan. I'm a Swan Force member, I guess. I'm a Swan customer, and I enjoy the process. It's very easy. I've been in Bitcoin for about 3.5 years, and always looking for more stuff. I'm obviously a big race car fan. I have a bunch of weird race car memorabilia, as you can see in the background. I'm also a wildlife photographer as a hobby, that's it. I'm looking forward to traveling and spending Bitcoin in foreign countries at some point.
Have you ever done any photography of wild swans?
I have yet to see a black swan in the wild. So, but I always have a camera with me just in case.
All right. Well, we're going to wait for that. We're going to hope that you find some swans in the wild. We love to see our swans in the wild. Let's dive in. It's been a busy week. Since I'm hosting, I get to say what we're going to talk about. So here's what we're going to talk about. I want to talk about George Soros. For those who are watching and aren't reading the news or who don't know who George Soros is, basically what happened this week, Soros's investment fund, Soros Fund Management, which has around $27 billion under management, they're going to start to trade Bitcoin, or they put in that they might be doing this soon. Soros is the man who broke the Bank of England with the quote unquote the best trade of the century, that kind of thing. But here's my question. Is Soros going to be performing a speculative attack on the dollar or on Bitcoin? Is he going to, does he understand the finite nature of Bitcoin? Is he going to do what Michael Saylor did and is continuing to do on a much larger scale? or is he going to try to screw around and short Bitcoin into the ground? Stacy, I'd love to go to you first and hear your perspective on this, and then we can kind of go around the horn.
He's shorting the dollar. You know, if you think about it, when he broke the Bank of England, he did that with Stan Druckenmiller, and Stan Druckenmiller is a huge advocate of Bitcoin, and the dollar can be broken, Bitcoin can't. I think that's what he's doing. I think that's a speculative attack. That's what he's aiming for, and I think, you know, he has the balls of steel to do it. Like, it's a brave move, and he knows he has Druck on his side. He knows he has Paul Tudor Jones on his side. He knows he's got like some really other big hedge funds, and you're going to need more than just yourself to do this. So if he's got these gangs of powerful, you know, hedge fund allies on his side, whether or not they're technically allies or working with him, you know, the fact that they're all doing it as well, the other thing is that he knows for a fact that the Fed cannot raise interest rates. So therefore, just like what happened with the Bank of England in the early 80s, he knows he could force them out of this situation. He knows that they're in a bind. So he's you know, he's a predator, and he's gonna go. He smells the blood in the water, and I think that's what he's going to do.
You know, I was kind of hoping you'd say the opposite, because part of me wants him to try to short it into the ground so I can get really cheap Bitcoin. But no, I think you're right. What that makes me wonder about, though, is like, is this good for Bitcoin? Short term, long term? Is this good for everyday sat stackers? You know, I don't imagine George having a lot of conviction around it. You know, like you said, he's a predator, and I would agree. So I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Long term, it doesn't matter for Bitcoin, but.
Well, I've been doing this for 10 years now. So my first Bitcoin was 10 years ago. So, you know, I was there before George Soros, and I'm happy for him to come aboard. Like, that's the thing about Bitcoin, is it's censorship resistant. Any jackass in the world can, you know, get involved, as we've seen with Elon Musk and everybody else. Like, whatever jackass joins, like, it only makes it stronger. The dumber they are, like, it just makes it stronger. So.
You hear that, Charlie Munger? You hear that, Charlie? Charlie's a big fan of the show. I've been told. The
Charlie is another level. I wore this for Charlie, actually. You know, the dinosaurs being wiped out by the Bitcoin asteroid.
Let's talk about Charlie in a sec. CJ, you look like you had something you wanted to chime in on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, George is a big macro guy, right? His whole thing is macro games, where he's playing the geopolitical aspect of this, and I think the Chinese mining ban is definitely a factor, because it's someone like him. He's going to look to what, you know, like Stacy said, pop the bank into a corner, and then, you know, pilfer something. And that's he's a pop and pilfer guy. He's going to try to shove everybody one direction, and then, you know, wipe them out through the back door. And in this case, I see him, you know, trying to get access to the information that's really available on chain. At some point, he's going to have analysts looking and seeing where the shorts are, where the longs are, and how much leverage is in the system. And his whole thing on a geopolitical, I don't like the guy at all. Like, I'm really not a big fan of him. But, you know, he talks about the reflexivity of markets, meaning that you put enough pressure on one side, you create motion, and then there's some other thing that gets flung up into the air. You know, back in the day, it was silver. The pound got obviously smashed. And in this case, I believe that he's very anti-dollar, because he is really he's anti-American in a lot of ways. But I think that's why he's been behind a lot of these geopolitical protest type things over the last couple of years. But that's what I think. I think he's going to try to, you know, push things to wipe leverage out so he can get cheap Bitcoin, create scarcity. It goes up, just like silver back in the day with Warren Buffett did the same thing. That's the game for a scarce asset, is you try to wipe out all the weak hands because you have infinitely more money. And then, you know, then they actually prop it up because there's no supply. So that's the chess game there for him.
We'll see how the chess game plays out. I had an idea. I don't think it's going to happen because there's no way I can convince her. But Ma, if you're watching and you want to join the stream, we'd love to have you on. Dred's mom might join as well. I know you have lots of doubts and questions about Bitcoin, and we've got some brilliant people here who would love to answer your questions. So open invite. If you are not busy in a bit, you let me know. And what else? Also, Ma, I love you. I don't tell you that enough, but here we are in public with a bunch of people watching. So I love you, and thought I'd tell you.
What the heck is going on?
All right, let's talk Charlie. All right, CJ, that means you go first.
Yeah, Charlie. God, what he said. He wishes that America would be more like China and silence people. I'm like, I saw that and I instantly had to react. I was like, dude, this guy's melting. Can we just put him away? Just put him in the freezer already. Like these, just like we definitely don't need. Yo, T, what up?
Hey, good to see everyone.
I don't think we need people like Charlie Munger having someone put a camera in their face anymore. He's just kind of an embarrassment at this point to know that he's a Midwest guy and he's out there like shilling the oppressive nature of China and how they're doing all that stuff. To me, it seems crazy that someone would say that.
Kind of par for the course, no? I mean, like Charlie has always done what's best for Charlie. And, if he's part of the cabal that's making these rules, then I don't know.
Well, also, he and Warren Buffett, they brag. I mean, that's their investment thesis is they invest in moats, companies with moats and monopolies. So there's no better example of it than China. And of course, the amount of shenanigans that the likes of Wells Fargo or Covia or all the investments that they have themselves, like if they ever saw what China did during the financial crisis to the heads of those banks, they executed them. Like all of Charlie's friends would be gone right now if we ran the country like China did.
Agreed. Terrence, I would love to hear your take on this. Terrence, we were just talking George Soros, and now we're talking Mr. Munger. If you have anything you'd like to add about good old Charlie.
Sure. Am I coming across okay?
Yeah, the mic is it's a bit of noise, but it's all right.
Okay. All right, sorry. So I think Stacy's exactly right. One anecdote to share is I was at the Berkshire Hathaway 50th anniversary, just as a former value investing nerd, and with my friends. And at that event, which was several years ago, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett were grilled by people about things like what Stacy was talking about, the sugared water and Wells Fargo and other problems with their investments. But also the other thing is, I'm not sure people realize, and this wasn't really reported in the press, there were a lot of people who were from China asking questions, and they're very deferential, and Warren Buffett's a big hero and over in China. But they seemed very, to me, interested in having investors from China and being able to invest in companies like BYD, which is this electric battery maker in China, and things like that.
Dred, anything to share on Charlie?
I consider myself to be, post-traditional finance and post-political, but if I was gonna, if I was gonna listen to someone who talks about, the money that the technology that's going to be freeing people from the hands of tyranny and helping activists fund their own freedom instead of having to wait and ask for permission. If I'm going to talk to somebody who calls that disgusting and contrary to the interests of civilization, I'm just putting them on block, delete, and reporting them. Like, there's no reason for me to listen to anything else they have to say because they obviously don't know what they're talking about. So that's what I got to say about Charlie.
So
Also, like
No.
he he turned down Apple like when it was run by Steve Jobs. Like he doesn't believe in visionaries. Like neither he nor Warren Buffett. They don't believe in visionaries or innovators or disruptors. They believe in the likes of Tim Cook, who work with the NSA and all of the security state and surveillance, and and moats, and that's what they believe in. So I just don't think they would. It makes sense that they didn't trust Steve Jobs and that they don't trust Bitcoin because if they themselves can't find a toll booth to erect between that a regulator enforced toll booth that they get to collect all sorts of fees, then they're not going to get behind it.
Dredd, you're someone's hero. You're also my hero. So I just wanted to chat. Why don't we talk about what you were just saying? Actually, this sort of post-legacy system world that you operate in, at least mentally and sometimes physically. And the reason I bring this up is because I saw a tweet yesterday that I thought was really exciting, which was that PlebNet is now 2% of all of the Lightning nodes. Did you see that? 3%. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So
We're now 3% and growing. Yeah. And we don't, like, PlebNet's not going to shrink or change the way it works because some billionaire or some rich macro guy decides to say something about Bitcoin. Like, it honestly doesn't change the blocks. It doesn't change the way the network works. It doesn't change anything about being able to transmit value instantly across nations and erase borders completely. And I don't think that they've gotten that yet. I think the dinosaurs are still kind of tick along, looking around and talking to the other dinosaurs, and they don't see the comet coming. And PlebNet's just one of the many comets that are going to hit them straight in the face.
Good.
So for the folks who don't know, go for it.
What's your girth like these days?
Yes, Stacy.
My friendship has been very girthy on PlebNet. We've been increasing the girth steadily.
Oh man! All right,
it's Friday. You can talk about girth. On Sundays, you can't talk about that. It's not proper.
Sundays is
Orange
Satoshi
Podcast
Day.
Telegram group is all about the girth. That's size matters in Orangeville Podcast Telegram group.
It's not the I guess, or some people say it's not the size of your Lightning channel, but how you use it.
That's because you have a tiny channel.
Well,
I think I can vouch for Brekkie that his channel is quite satisfactory.
Ooh.
Simping.
No.
You guys had a different Miami experience than I did, clearly.
Oh man! So for those who don't know what PlebNet is, I'm gonna shill it one more time. Join PlebNet at kycjelly.com or plebnet.org. It's a community that came about on, I guess, Clubhouse and Telegram and the Lightning Network. A bunch of plebs who are working together to open girthy channels to each other and get really well connected on the Lightning Network and teach each other about the Lightning Network. And I am now running a routing node, and that wouldn't be possible without folks like Dredd and everyone else in PlebNet. So thank you to them. And if you're thinking about starting down the Lightning path and you want to learn, hop into this Telegram group. You won't be disappointed. There's so many amazing people there, and everyone is sharing, and it's a fantastic time with fantastic memes and fantastic friends. So
Yeah.
Pleb.
And added to that, I know a lot of people get, really intimidated when they hear, oh, I got to run a node and I got to go buy something and set stuff up and use the command line. Oh no. Well, honestly, we didn't start that way. We started in a simple Clubhouse room trying to just send payments custodial over Telegram. So if you have Telegram, or if you know how to download it, you can jump into one of these rooms and immediately start jumping back and forth with Lightning payments. I think that one is havefunsendingpayments.com. So it's a little beginner group before you even get to, it's like the PlebNet nursery. Jump in. Don't be scared. You make Lightning less frightening.
It's
Right.
it was a lot scarier for me before I started getting my hands dirty, and now that I'm running a node and opening channels and trying to balance those channels, it's a lot less scary and it makes a lot more sense. And the scalability of Lightning becomes way more apparent. So super cool.
And it's a lot more special when it's with friendships also. You know, like these communities that we create within Bitcoin start to develop these friendships, and it's just a lot more meaningful. And you're able to trust these people to help you out because everyone's winning at the end of the day.
100%. I really like this topic, Dread, of how did you describe it a few minutes ago? You were describing like the world that you operate in. How did you say it again?
Post-political and post-traditional finance. Yeah, I really feel like it's, and I kind of honed in a lot more on it after reading a couple of articles from Eric Kaysen and a couple others that just kind of talked about the fact that once you have this undeniable truth, this almost theological truth of Bitcoin, it's cryptographically proven, you really don't need another person or another human being, another flawed leader to try and tell you what the law should be, because math has already told you what that is. And I think that's a really good place to operate in, because then you can narrow down your energy to really what matters, and not waste time on other people's opinions that try to become law, or other people's laws that really don't apply to you if your morals are different than theirs.
100%. So I have a clip I want to share, but before we move on to the next topic, Dread, I'm going to continue to put you on the spot again because you're great on the spot. You really are. We were in a Telegram group the other day talking about El Salvador and talking about how a lot of people are worried that the Salvadorians won't be able to understand Bitcoin and figure it out and all this stuff. And you put it really, really succinctly. I had a tweet in my drafts. It's a really bad version of what you were going to say. And then I saw you write it and I was just like, yes. Can you kind of go through what you sent the other day? Because it was just, I think it's something a lot of people need to hear and understand about Bitcoin and people who use Bitcoin.
Yeah. So we were talking in the group. I think we were trying to decide what we're going to do about Swan and I don't know, El Salvador. But one of the guys in the group said that he goes to meetups in the U.S. and he doesn't really feel like people are really getting how to, have a non-custodial wallet and secure your keys and just understand how Bitcoin works, and much less to run a node. And it was a concern of that person to go down to El Salvador where people are less educated, because he was talking to CEOs and six-figure income financial privileged Americans, and they couldn't get it, or in my mind they didn't try hard enough, but they couldn't get it. And he thought that because they couldn't get it, the uneducated, lower socioeconomic people of El Salvador wouldn't have a chance. And my response to that was that I've lived in a third world country for about half of my life, and then I lived here in the U.S. in various affluent neighborhoods for the other half of my life. So I've kind of seen both ends of the spectrum. And there's a motivating factor that people in poorer nations have that people in much more affluent places don't have. So you might have a meetup in the US where people come and they see you making, a demo about how to set up your wallet or how to run your node, and they're half paying attention, half on Twitter, they're checking their email and sipping their coffee latte, Starbucks, whatever. But if you go the same thing in El Salvador or Jamaica, and these people have the knowledge that, okay, this is going to be legal tender. Sorry, in El Salvador, this is legal tender in my country. I need to learn how to use this. And I've seen people in El Zonte escape from poverty using this technology. I'm motivated to do that. And similar to in Jamaica, where, it was long distance phone calls were horrendously charging Jamaicans to call their family abroad. Sometimes they couldn't call their family abroad because they just couldn't find a line to do it, because the landlines were there, but they weren't common. And you'd have to go and buy a long distance card and find somebody with a phone, et cetera, et cetera. And before everyone had a landline in the country that had long distance access, the cell phone technology came out. And, we got the cell phone technology similar to the US, but we adopted it at a much higher rate. And people in Jamaica, from the lowest, people who couldn't even read, people on the street selling, fruits, they were using cell phones now, using WhatsApp to call for free, using voice over IP technology to call long before the US even figured out how to use Skype at Microsoft for Business, or what do they use now? Not Slack. What's the other one? There's another one that they use, but whatever they use, Zoom. Jamaicans figured that out a long time ago because we had the need to talk to our family abroad, not the want or it's a cool thing to do. So I feel similarly in El Salvador, they're going to figure it out, and they're going to figure it out a lot faster than you think, because people want this technology to free themselves from financial slavery. So that's kind of what I was saying. And I think we're going to see it happen not just in El Salvador, but in every single Latin American, Central American, every single third world country that's out there, that they get the technology in their hands, they're going to be like, okay, I know what to do with this. And it's going to just, like a Rubik's Cube, just figure it out real quick.
When you wrote that, I couldn't help but think of, well, two examples. There's an amazing movie, at least one of my favorites. It's called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. It's on Netflix, and it's about this,
Love that movie.
it's like I was like bawling by the end of it. So go watch it if you haven't seen it. But basically, like, this child in Africa in a small village is like a brilliant kid and like has to figure out how to go to school and figures out how to build like a windmill to generate electricity for the village. It's amazing. And then the other thing, there was this story on NPR ages ago about this experiment where they brought like these like computer terminals that had internet, and they plopped them in a number of villages in India, just kind of without telling anyone, and they wanted to see what would happen. And I think 99% of the people in these villages were either weren't literate or they're semi-literate. I'd never seen a computer before. And they were monitoring what was happening on these computers, and I think within like 6 months, like they had figured out how to use the internet. They'd figured out how to read and like do all these things that like everyone in the Western world said was impossible. So nothing's impossible, and I'm 100% with you on this. So I think it's going to be really cool to see what happens. Now there is what was I going to say? That clip that I wanted to play. There's a hamster in the room. A big hamster in the room that we need to talk about. So I'm going to play this clip, and then we can talk about this giant, horrible hamster. Also, this guy looks like Azamat Bagatov, if you know who that is. I don't know what he's doing here, but anyway, we'll see.
Those in the cryptocurrency space are naturally pro-crypto. Their fortunes, their relevance, their fame depends upon the success of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is something you can bet on. But if people want to have the animal spirits to take risks, I'd prefer them to invest in equity markets to support the building of American companies, or the California lottery to support the schools in my state. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile. So if one person makes $1 million and retires at age 45, and 9 lose $100,000, Coinbase makes money. The one millionaire goes on TV and says how wonderful it is. And 9 others do not retire in dignity, but instead become eligible for Medicaid. Cryptocurrencies can ultimately be successful only if they're successful currencies. And evading the know your customer rule is the one thing that cryptocurrencies have as an advantage to the US dollar. Cryptocurrencies have the political support of the patriotic anarchists who are rooting for tax evasion. I hope we shut it down.
Gentleman's time had.
Brad, my man. I don't even know where to start on that. Like the lottery thing, I'm going to rant for 5 seconds, then I'm going to let you all rant. The lottery thing really bothers me because there's a concept out there called a lossless lottery, and it's not really legal. It's not legal to make your own lotteries because the states have a monopoly on lotteries, right? Now with lotteries, the crazy thing about them is demographically, everyone plays the lottery. Rich people, poor people, everyone in between. People love lotteries. But obviously, they disproportionately affect the poor because across the board, more or less, people spend about the same amount of money on lotteries. So while Brad might be saying, yes, support the lottery and support our schools, at what cost? At what detriment? When there's literally something called a lossless lottery. I think it exists in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, and they do exist on Bitcoin too, where imagine where you can put your money in, buy a lottery ticket, and when the lottery's over, you don't lose your lottery ticket. It just gets rolled over into the next lottery. Imagine a state lottery system like that where people are building equity in something and one person wins part of the yield. Like there are so many better ways to support school systems than the shitty lotteries that we have now. But, the legacy system doesn't want to hear about these options that might be better for the people. So anyway, that's my rant. Stacy, I can see you holding back. What do you think about Mr. Brad and his hamsters? Actually, that wasn't the hamster clip, but we don't need to see more of Brad. That's enough of Brad.
Well, he definitely, I mean, he co-sponsored that SOPA bill as well. Like, the guy hates the internet, and he hates the freedom that anything outside of the legacy fiat sort of system holds. Yeah, I mean, it was so stupid.
What's that from, CJ?
That's Dilbert's boss. That's basically how I see Brad Sherman. Like, oh, hamster coin, let's do it.
Yeah. He's very similar to Charlie Munger, right? With Charlie Munger, the ignorance and the mindset of like, well, we prefer moats, we like monopolies, we like neo-feudalism where we get to collect a toll and you have to depend on us. If we want to give you some free money, if we want to give you stimulus checks, if we want to do something for you, you should be grateful for us. But they don't like freedom by the individual. They don't mind giving some freedoms and some like benefits of every once in a while, but they don't like you having your own independence on this Independence Day.
Yeah, I think the problem with Brad is that he's looking at all cryptocurrencies as created equal, which those of us that are Bitcoiners know that that's not the case. And Bitcoin is not a win some, lose some kind of game. If everybody buys $10 in Bitcoin a week or whatever, DCAs, then that amount of money goes into the system. The value of Bitcoin goes up as a whole. It goes up with everybody. It's rising tide. This isn't shorting options on the CME. This is like if you're buying Bitcoin, you're using Bitcoin, you're taking it off the market. And as a result of that, the price goes up. In price discovery mode, everybody benefits if you have a bull market. That's the reality. And Brad obviously hasn't done the very simple math on that because he's overlooking all these other things because he's thinking about KYC. Well, if you want to buy it on an exchange or anything else, you have to give him your driver's license. You have to give him your address. Most of us are just regular tax-paying people. I paid more tax guaranteed in my life than Brad Sherman has. And the thing is that it's like, for me specifically, I look at it as I can't save money by putting it in a bank. It doesn't do me any good. And that's the part of the equation that Brad hasn't figured out, that more people get wrecked because the banks are out there deflating or devaluing our dollars. And it's this cronyism that you see, like Stacy's saying, you have this massive cronyism that's happening. And nobody benefits from the cronyism. That's except for maybe the 30 or 40 people that have their hands on the lever. Everybody else gets screwed. Everybody else is thinking, oh yeah, it's great, my house is going up in value, especially in Brad's district, which is like Sherman Oaks, this really bougie area, $1 million houses everywhere. But the problem is that means you're paying more property taxes, right? You're paying more interest on your loan. So it's like, oh, hey, I'm flipping out of this house and getting a better house and and the real estate agents are making more money, whatever. But that's not real because the functionality of the house is not any different than it was 25 years ago, right? Nobody has like a time machine in their house because their house is worth $2 million. You still have a washing machine, a sink, a place to poop. That's it. That's all you get out of your house. A place to sleep. And
you don't even need a house to do those things. I can.
Right. Which in LA, we obviously know that there's a massive issue with homelessness, and maybe Brad should be focused on that and better programs. Not just like grandstanding, which is effectively what I think he does. I think in a lot of ways, I did some research on Brad, like, because you want to know your enemy. I feel like he has a lot of good politics. His good politics, his good sides are good. This is like such a hole though, because he's not seeing it as a human rights issue, which is the way we see it, like Dred's talking about, where like you can create independence for yourself financially, which is awesome because then you're not determined on a food stamp line or a bread line or any of these other things that we're worried about, because we're terrified of the creep of socialism into society, which is what China wants, because that's how you control people, and that's a lot of people have left these bad places, to come to America, and then to see this guy go, oh, we should just chop it because it's not good. It's actually better, because if China is anti-Bitcoin, we need to be pro-Bitcoin. Like, that's the easiest part of the equation for us to do. That's it. Just they're on one side of the fence, we need to be on the other side. It's game over.
I will jump in there and mention it's important to know that this guy, Brad Sherman, he's done a lot of horrible stuff, but he was one of the very few to actually vote against the bailouts in 2008. So that was the one thing that he did really, good stuff. But in general, anti-freedom.
Yeah, he's not dumb. When you listen to him, you can tell that he understands the quote unquote threat Bitcoin poses to the dollar and to the U.S. government. Blah 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 blah. I think the problem is he sees that as a threat and not as something that's going to make America, better and the world better. So we'll see what happens with Brad. Maybe this is kind of a good turning point. It's July 4th this weekend. I'd love to know what everyone is doing to celebrate, if they're celebrating. But for me, it's a kind of a weird, not conundrum, but it's a weird feeling I get every July 4th, because ever since I became a Bitcoiner, July 4th is tinged with this sort of this bad taste in my mouth that something's off. Like I used to be I'm still very patriotic. I love America, but I've since come to realize that I love what America stands for and what America was built on, not necessarily what America is. And so I think it's kind of an odd thing to be a Bitcoiner on July 4th. So I'd love to kind of hear what is Independence Day to you, to our Americans who are with us here, and what's going on the grill.
I love the background swap. That's good. Listen. America was built on not getting overly taxed, right? That was our first salvo into independence. Was you guys are trying to tax us too much. So how do they think that anybody that's ever read a history book isn't going to feel the same way if we're getting screwed on taxes, or whether that's capital gains, or whether that's property taxes or whatever? And that's mentally for me. You know what I mean? But I'm an American. I've been very lucky. I had a family in the armed forces. I'm very patriotic. I think that it's very important for us to understand that America is a lot better place than a lot of other places. And those of us that have traveled extensively understand that there's like places where people grow up with dirt floors and, wild animals that are posing a threat to their safety, and communism and all the other things that are bad. But for me, I'm very happy to teach my kids about, independence from a standpoint of critical thought, making their own decisions and dealing with the consequences of it. That's the whole part of independence that people kind of fail, because they want the pillow every time. They don't understand that there's going to be a stick, at the end of some bad decisions. So hopefully we don't have any sticks this weekend. Just some grills and just some beef on the grill, and that's it. That's my American weekend is watching some fireworks and teaching the kids how to be strong, for themselves.
Camila, am I an entitled American as someone who is not from this country originally? Like, what does it mean to you to be here and to be a Bitcoiner on July 4th?
It's a very interesting perspective, because it would take me 17 years to become an American citizen ever since I moved here to America, and that was like the dream, right? Like, to me, that was like, okay, that's when I get ultimate freedom, because I'll have all of the rights that every American does. I've been a Bitcoiner for less than a year. So last July 4th, I had no idea that Bitcoin was gonna change my way of thought completely. And I think what it made me realize is that, yes, America has achieved some type of independence, but this is an ongoing fight, especially for us in this generation. Like, we're still fighting for our independence, and that's with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the closest thing that we have to that. And it's not only American independence, but independence for all of these countries, like El Salvador, like Venezuela. It's just like a very big fight. So I feel blessed to be here in America to celebrate 4th of July. It's actually my 1-year anniversary of being married with Evan, so that's super exciting. We got fireworks. But yeah, I feel very optimistic, very patriotic, and I think in a sense Bitcoin it really grounds you to really think about what independence is and what we can still do. in order to fight for it, because there are a lot of threats to it right now, especially in our country. So we just need to be vigilant, start thinking for ourselves, and just start seeing how we can continue this fight, and that we are going to win. Like, in a sense, I feel like we already won. We're just really early in the stage, and we just need to get more troops to join us in this fight for freedom, not only American freedom, but for humanity. So, yes. I love this country. I honestly, like, we are so blessed to be here. Absolutely so blessed to be here. And something that I talk a lot about too is that other countries deserve what we have here as well. And for immigrants, we should have a world where you're not leaving your own communities. You're not leaving your own countries, where you have freedom where you are, where you were born, where you have all these opportunities. Not that you have to go somewhere else to get them. So that's going to be the fight that I'm going to continue to fight until I die.
Oof. 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 Makes me think of that speech in Independence Day, the movie, when he says, this isn't just American Independence Day; it's all of our Independence Day. Bitcoin kind of makes me feel like that. So let's go to Terrence, let's go to Stacy, and then we'll go to Dredd to hear about his Imperialism Day from his perspective.
I'm not sure I would call it that. I was born in the U.S. and love my country. And I think that to echo what the others have said, America, the idea of America is about freedom and liberty. And I think that's what we should celebrate. Our government is far from perfect, as they've shown repeatedly with their very authoritarian takes and actions. But the idea behind America, I think, is still noble and good. And it's a time to celebrate what our founding framers have done, even though they weren't perfect either. But the reason that our country was founded and what the ideals are, I think, remain true. And it's something to be celebrated over fireworks and barbecue and wherever people are, whether it's at the beach or whatever. I think it's good.
Sure. Bitcoin is the fireworks, right? This is the right. It's bringing the it's bringing revolution to the monarchy of all the oligopolies, not just in finance, but telecommunications, military, industrial complex, all of that. To Camila's point, how much do you feel way more like a Bitcoiner than an American, like tied to any particular passport or nation state? When wherever you are at any Bitcoin conference, like, you feel so much more connected to whoever that person is, whether they're from Colombia or Argentina or Botswana or Nigeria or Hong Kong. You're just like, yeah, we're Bitcoiners, and you're speaking a common language. So, I mean, I used to go see the fireworks every 4th of July to this like little restaurant bar just to the west of Electric Boat in Groton, because my uncle was designing the Trident submarine, and my mom worked just to the east of that at Pfizer, which is now pretty big news. But so, here's the Trident submarine and the nuclear weapon, and, asserting what America has become. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is like universal and peaceful. So I think that's the better option than using these nuclear weapons. And by the way, our fireworks used to be put on by Robert Redford. He would, because he lived he spent a lot of time in New London, Connecticut, across the river at the Eugene O'Neill Theater, one of the greatest American playwrights ever. So, that was my childhood, is spending it with like Robert Redford fireworks right next to a nuclear submarine, like 50 yards away. But Bitcoin is way more peaceful, and I think that's a better option.
I love that. Dredd, do you have thoughts on this? Are you an American citizen?
Dual. I identify as Jamaican, but it's. I mean, first of all, I think I have an idea why you feel that little weird feeling, Brekkie, in terms of the Independence Day as a Bitcoiner, especially last year, because in America, Independence Day is liberty, and you should be free to go outside and gather and watch fireworks. And as far as I remember, they were locking everything down last year, July. You couldn't go gather more than 10 people. That doesn't sound like freedom to me. So I think that might be your, the cognitive dissonance you were feeling. But I kind of feel like, because Jamaica has an Independence Day as well. They call it Emancipation Day, where we were emancipated from England, even though we weren't really emancipated because they still run our judicial system and we still buy their currency. The Jamaican dollar we buy from England. Pff, makes no sense to me. But anyway, we have Emancipation Day in August, not July. But I feel like there's a new day to celebrate maybe sometime in the future that, we might call something like the Sovereign Individual Independence Day. And that's going to be when we're able to move our human bodies across lands similar to how we can move Bitcoin today without having to ask for permission, without having to show some random passport or identification or visa. When we can do that and communicate with each other in that way, face to face as humans without asking for permission, that's when we'll have Sovereign Individual Independence Day for me, whenever that is.
Only problem is because we'll all be sovereign individuals, we can do it on whatever day we want. We won't be able to agree on it. So I like the idea, Dread, but executing that.
That was most of human history was like that. Humans could move wherever they wanted to around the world for most of human history.
Yeah, it's strange, Stacy. It's strange. I was walking one day and I had my map with me, and I got to the point on the map where there was a line, and I couldn't walk across the land there. It was very strange. It was like there was anyway. Bad jokes. Let's do I need to explain the bad joke? Because there was nothing there. It was just land. I could jump over. Anyway. We're coming up on yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'll excuse myself.
Max says, Brekkie, stop telling jokes.
Max isn't even here right now, and I can feel his disappointment. It's terrible.
He does the same to me. He doesn't like me telling jokes.
Max, let Stacy tell jokes. All right, let's go around the horn. We've got a few things I want to touch on before we end. I'd love to hear from CJ about your podcast, about your business, about anything that's going on with you. I'd like to go to Dread and hear about his new show, if he wants to share some details, if he's ready. And then there's a big event coming up in Austin, I think in like a week. I don't know who's going to be there. I think it's going to be big. Maybe Stacy can tell us about that. So start with CJ, and then we'll work our way around.
So this is, I give you my shill pitch on everything. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been running a car podcast called The Throttle Dogs for a couple of years with my partner Rich, who's actually a heart surgeon. He's invented like crazy valves and stuff so people can have heart valve replacements. We do that. I have a Bitcoin podcast that I just started called The Bitcoin Bottom Line. I actively tweet a lot, and I've been on a lot of podcasts recently because I'm sort of a think boy assassin, where I go after people that are trying too hard and prove them wrong with just simple facts. That's the easiest thing. You can pop a lot of balloons with just like one little factoid. But yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to getting more active in the space. I've had a chance to meet almost everybody here. On Clubhouse, or obviously listen to Stacy's podcast a lot. Terrence owes me a selfie, but I think we're going to take care of that, in a couple weeks at the LA meetup. But yeah, I think a lot of what I believe about Bitcoin is that we need to figure out a way to onboard people, as many people as possible, so that they take a stake in their own future. Give them some sort of indication in plain text, in plain words, metaphorically, to say, hey, look, it's just like this, but it's kind of like that, and that's all you have to do. It's very easy. We don't have to get into this whole breakdown all the time with everybody. And as a result of that, I started having meetups here in Fresno. We host them at the car dealership. We get barbecue. It's kind of a thing, going after the Jimmy Song carnivore diet. And I'm just really happy that there's this many people contributing to Bitcoin on a academic level, on a thought level. And no one's charging anything for this. If someone's charging you for advice, then they're probably scamming you. And I just think that's great. I think that there's it shows you how much people care, that they're willing to just put themselves out there and, on Twitter and Clubhouse and everything else. So I'm just excited to be part of that.
I love that. CJ, I was kind of thinking about this the other day. I won't necessarily say why, but there was these quotes kind of popped into my head. One of which was, I think it's by Mark Twain. He said, "Forgive me for writing such a long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one." And it was kind of in relation to like just there's a number of writers out there in Bitcoin and beyond who use too many words, or trying to sound smart. And we need to reach people. I do love Bitcoin philosophy and I love getting cosmic, but there's no need to force that. There's a lot of people have read, or not, a lot of people have read Charles Dickens, right? And Charles Dickens is known for being so verbose with the way he writes, but a lot of people don't necessarily realize that he was getting paid by the word, So don't be a Charles Dickens. Be as concise as you can and get Bitcoin across to people. And I think that's super important.
Well, yeah, I think the sharper you are, the easier it is to explain things on a basic level. If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, then you need to refine that. And I think the refinement is the true act of, let's say, the genius or whatever that you see in writing. If you read a really good screenplay for a television show or a movie, you're going to see this sort of like this word assemblage where they're going to use 8 words, but the words are so evocative that it's going to give you this whole mental picture, and you don't have to get into this massive description. And I think that editing, the ability to edit yourself, which is what's so great about Twitter, is because you can look at it and you can say, can I pull back on this somehow? And that's why we use memes. That's why memes are like the best level of communication, because if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a well-placed meme is probably worth about 10,000, because there's so much context put into it. And that's why I think that we have such an advantage as Bitcoiners over all these other things, is because we can meme so much better than the government. We can meme so much better. And that's our unity, is that meme explanation doesn't even need to happen. You just put the meme out there and it's like, whoop, okay, everybody gets it. Everybody understands the Carlton Dance from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's like 50,000. Like everyone's like, you just get it. You can just make them up. And I think the art of that and some of these guys is great. And we, I saw in the chat, meme warfare. Yeah, exactly, Bobo. That's what we need. We need the meme warfare. That's the key. That's the key.
Hell yeah. Can before we go to Dread, can you do the Carlton Dance for anyone who doesn't know what that might be?
Can I do it?
No, it's okay. You don't have to do the Carlton Dance. Oh, wait.
No, CJ!
Oh my God.
That's it. There you go. There you go. It's the Carlton Dance. I can't do the twist because I have the headphones on, but the key is the twist.
We'll forgive you this time. All right, Dread. You've been working on this. I've been helping out a little bit behind the scenes. You've got a new show on the way. What's the word on this? Tell us about it.
I do. I am going to plug PlebNet one more time first. So go to kycjelly.com. If you want to know exactly what girth is right for you, we can help you there. But my new show is called One Love Bitcoin. And, once I fell on the rabbit hole, I started traveling around the world, just, experiencing new places and meeting new people and realizing in the different areas of the world that Bitcoin is growing, whether it's a seed or it's a germinating plant or it's actually a whole community. So I decided to start talking to them, and I'm not talking about big influential people. I mean, some of them are, but I'm talking about the average pleb on the ground in El Salvador or in Venezuela or in Guatemala or in Africa, in different countries, Ethiopia, etc. And hearing what they think about Bitcoin, hearing, how it's going in their country, and from their perspective, from the bottom up, what the view is and what the future looks like. So it's really exciting. I'm really hoping that people like the information I'm putting out there, because, I feel like knowledge is one of those things that's going to help us to accelerate the financial inclusion for people who don't have bank accounts all around the world. And it's going to accelerate the freedom that we're all looking for. So I hope you like the show. I don't know when we're launching. When are we launching? Like, are we launching soon? Tomorrow? I don't know. Whenever I feel comfortable enough. I've been editing for like days and days now. So whenever I feel comfortable enough, I'll put it up and, you guys can see it.
So exciting.
You're on mute again, Brekkie.
I said I'm going to bother you over the weekend and we'll figure out when we're going to launch. But soon. TM.
Okay.
Soon.
And it'll have a nice Jamaican flavor to it. I'm going to have a lot of reggae, a lot of different words that you guys have no idea what I'm saying. So get ready for that.
I like that.
Stacy, what's happening in Austin? Tell us.
Thursday, July 8th. Max Kaiser is going to fuck Elon on stage in Austin at the Spider House Ballroom. We have some barbecue coming from from B Cooper's. It's like the best in Austin. I will kick it off. I'm the MC. I'm going to talk to Druv Bonzel about Bitcoin in space, the center of hash, and the Kardashev scale relating to Bitcoin. We are also going to talk to Adam Curry. You probably know him, Dread, in the whole Lightning Network space. I think his girth is pretty big as well in the Lightning Node Network because he's been helping us get on board for Orange Pill Podcast on Lightning. And so we're going to talk about him and his experience with podcasting 2.0 and the Lightning Network. And, fuck Elon is like, fuck Elon, fuck Brad Sherman, fuck, Charlie Munger, fuck these dinosaurs, fuck all these guys who think they know better than Bitcoin and the plebs because they're the elite and they're the oligarchs and they're the monarchs and, this sort of thing. This is July 4th. This is the Independence Day of the plebs. We're here to tell you, fuck Elon, fuck all you people who think you know better than the plebs do about Bitcoin. And it's going to be, it's a party, not a conference. So expect good times, be prepared for good times, because a lot of people aren't prepared for good times. They're always prepared for bad times. They're prepared for like all sorts of horrible stuff because that's what they're used to in the fiat system, but prepare for good times. Relentless optimism, and we actually have a volcano energy drink coming to you, designed by the one and only ever Bitcoin bartender who is in the Orange Pill Podcast Telegram group. So, there's only about 10, 15 tickets left. So you better get them while you can because this is punk as fuck. Cypher punk as fuck.
Woo!
Oh my gosh.
I think there's going to be some Swan people there.
There will be
definitely Zane is going.
Zane will be there.
I got a ticket.
Oh, I don't know that I can make it.
Dread is coming. Oh my god.
I can just imagine you guys on stage like firing brisket into the crowd, like, we're doing it, let's go! Like this is Steve Aoki, but firing pieces of brisket out there, like Blue Man Group, like, oh yeah, the brisket, rally brisket,
I hadn't thought of that. And by the way, Bitcoin Magazine will be live streaming it, and they're giving away 4 tickets to Bitcoin 2022. So free tickets to Bitcoin 2022. And this wasn't kind of a continuation. Max was so on fire, he got there were a lot of trolls concerned about how he spoke, kind of like when the Sex Pistols went on morning television in the UK and they said all sorts of swear words. And the next day, all the headlines were like, oh, these vulgar people were on there. And what happened? Well, the Sex Pistols became the biggest punk rock band in the world because everybody's like, what the fuck? Who are those people? I want some of that.
Stacy, you need a crowd surf at some point. Someone needs to crowd surf.
We need to crowd surf. Yeah, of course we're going to crowd surf, and we're going to pogo and gob. We're going to do all that shit, man. I'm picking up Dread's accent there, man. Mon, right?
We'll work on it.
Crowd
we'll work
surf.
on that.
You got to do the beer can bacon thing. That's the only one I know. You know that one, Stacy? Dread, you know that one, right?
Which
Beer
one? I don't know
bacon?
that one.
Beer can and bacon. So how's it go? If you want to say the word bacon in Jamaican, it's a beer can. No, beer can, bacon. I don't know.
This sounds horrible.
Brekkie, don't go there.
I think we should stick to what Stacy said. Don't tell any more jokes. I mean, I thought you were gonna go the Jamaican me crazy one. I always hear that one.
No.
If I had a sat for every time I've heard that.
Hey, I've never said that to you, Dread. I promise I never will. Unless we get really drunk together, and maybe I will just for fun.
Oh my god. Well, Dread has promised us that we will be able to go on his One Love podcast, but I want to do it in Jamaica, so we want to go down there. And CJ, if you have a car dealership with enough room for Max to perform outside in Fresno, we'll come up there because we're planning on coming out to California. We're going to go to Orange County. And,
Okay.
All right. Terrence is coming too.
We got it.
All right.
It'd be great if we did an outdoorsy event at Yosemite, which is about 45 minutes from me. So we could do like a national parks Bitcoin bash.
Oh my God, we drove through Yosemite right before COVID, so it was like amazing.
Yeah, that's like right out. I can see it. Like I can see the outskirts of Yosemite, like about 30 miles outside my window.
Oh my God,
That'd be super
that's
cool.
crazy. That's beautiful there.
I'm definitely not advocating for this, but I could totally see one of the Orange Pill fans desecrating El Capitan and like putting the Orange Pill logo like right up there.
Big flag. Like the guy that puts the guy that takes the Trump won flags at the baseball games or whatever. If you guys have seen that, just get a big orange Bitcoin flag.
Nothing permanent. Nothing permanent. Don't ruin nature.
Yeah. But just fly it. You know what I mean? Or skydive with the big Bitcoin logo behind you. That'd be great.
Skydiving, I like that. Somebody could skydive behind us.
Yeah.
This has become the best brainstorming session ever.
I can see Max with like orange goggles on with an all white jumpsuit, like trying to do a midair interview, like I'm fucking bullish.
He would do it as long as he got to like 100,000 followers on Twitter. As a result, he would do it. An extra 100,000.
He could land in Brad Sherman's backyard, just right here in Sherman Oaks.
From Sherman Oaks to Yosemite to Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, if you guys are coming to Orange County, you may as well do an event in Brad Sherman's backyard.
That is
kind
true.
Of dare him to show up.
The Brad Bash. The Brad Bash.
I put on Crypto Springs with Melton Demirs, Elizabeth Stark, and Amanda Fabiano, and we did invite Brad Sherman, but he was like,
He missed out on a good time. That's it. That's
he's not ready to have fun. Like you said, some people aren't prepared to have fun. They're going to have fun staying poor. They're not going to have fun having fun, right? That's what's
exactly.
All right, everybody. If we don't have any more crazy ideas, and I'm open to staying on all afternoon to come up with more crazy ideas, I think we're going to call it. I wanted to thank you all for joining us. It was a great show. Enjoy your weekends. Thank you, Mini Max, for joining us as well. And Nick is here with us, and the Swan is here with us, and yeah. All right, we're done. We're done. There's nothing left. There's no more creativity. We've run out of creative juices. Go enjoy your weekends, folks. Stack some sats. Sign up at swanbitcoin.com/Stacy or /Dread or /CJ or /Camila. I don't know. I'm making these up. They might not exist, but you can go to
Terrence does one too.
/Terrence. And have yourselves a weekend, folks. We'll catch you next week. I'm trying to pull it together. We're going to have, I think, Tomer Strolite, GG, Brandon Quidham. We're going to get real cosmic. I'm not even going to talk. I'm just going to sit there and let them do their thing. It's probably what I should do on every show. Anyway, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Can we all do the Carlton while I end the stream?
Yeah.
Come on, Terrence. Do the Carlton. Come on. I'm not going to hit end until you do it. Come on. Come on,
Terrence, you got it.
We need to end the show.
I'll do it with you, Terrence. I'll do it with you. Let's go.
Come on, closing credits. I just blew my neck out. Let's go, Terrence. Yes.
Thank you.
Oh my God, you're even standing up. Yes.
Oh, this is good.
All right.